This is the book of Daniel, chapter 3, verse 28. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the power of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who had sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any power except their own power. Shalom, shalom, Akim. Call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Chakwarash. And double honor to the elders and apostles of the great millstone who rule and teach well. Peace, blessings, salutations unto the hopeful elect, who are listening in truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Gabari Allah, coming at you with another lesson. Okay, and this lesson is going to be based off the miracle, okay, that the Lord performed in the book of Daniel, chapter 3. Alright, so this is just something that, should uplift brothers, and the few sincere sisters who are listening in truth and sincerity, because we're coming into a time where the Lord will have to perform these miracles in order to save his elect, which he will do. Okay. So that's why I opened up with Daniel 3 and 28. Okay. To get the point across that these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, were delivered from Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, King Nebuchadnezzar, who was the king of Babylon at this time. All right. And the premises of this, you should read the whole book of Daniel chapter 3. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll start like in the second half. But pretty much what Nebuchadnezzar did was he made an idol, okay? He made a statue or an idol for in the province of Babylon. All right, and he pretty much was going to make everybody worship this image, okay? He was going to make everybody worship this image. But these three men, okay, being Jake, they didn't want to worship this image, obviously. All right, so we're gonna have to show the same type of faith and diligence that these three men have shown. Okay, so I'm gonna start off in the book of Daniel, chapter 3, and I'm gonna start at verse. I'm gonna start at verse 11. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whosoever falleth not down and worship, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. So whoever would not worship this image that King Nebuchadnezzar set up would be cast into a furnace, a fiery furnace. Okay. And it says, verse 12, there are certain Jews there are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy powers, nor worship the image which thou hast set up. So these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, would not worship this image, this pagan god that Nebuchadnezzar set up. Okay, they were still steadfast in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. It says, Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, It is true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, do not ye serve my powers, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye shall fall and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that power that shall deliver you out of my hands? So you got to envision this, okay? Envision three Jake being Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, okay? And King Nebuchadnezzar pretty much commanded his men to bring these three men to him. And now he's talking to them and he's telling him, look, if you don't worship this idol or this image that I have put up, you three are going to get put into a furnace, all right? Which is something very, obviously very scary, to be threatened to be put in a furnace, okay? But this is the power that we serve, okay? Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai is the power we serve. And King Nebuchadnezzar was asking, who is going to deliver you out of my hands? Okay, but it says, verse 16, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our power whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy powers, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. All right, and that's cold, because they said, we are not careful to answer thee in this manner. So they said, look, man, we don't care what you think. We're not going to worship your image. We don't care what you got to say. We're not going to worship those false idols. We're not going to worship that false God. We're not going to worship that golden image. We're going to worship Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. And that's how we got to be, especially in these last days, because as the scriptures say, they will persecute you for my name's sake. Okay? Which I will, Lord willing, through the Spirit, grab some precepts after this story. All right, but these are very important stories and very important accounts that you should take with you, okay? That you should read as faith boosters. It says, Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it wont to be heated. All right, and so pretty much King Nebuchadnezzar was like, look, all right, he's mad, he's furious, right? He's angry at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So he ordered his people, all right, to make the furnace 7 times more hotter. Okay, and we know that the word 7 is a representation of a whole number. Okay, so it could have been 20 times. It, it, the point is that Nebuchadnezzar wanted that thing to be as hot as physically possible. Okay, it says, and he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. That these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceedingly hot, the flames of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Okay, so these mighty men made sure that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were pretty much forced in there. But what happened was, because it was so hot, because it was so you know um burning with fire, that it actually slew those men that were bringing them in there. So that's how hot it was. Just to take into account how hot it was. All right. It says, verse 23, and these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the son of power, Okay, so as Nebuchadnezzar's men put Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into the furnace, they're seeing these flames, and he's like, "Oh shit, what the hell? Why is there a fourth one in there?" So there's four of them. It's not just Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. There's a fourth one, and it says that it's to form like the Son of Man. Okay, or it's like the Son of Power. Okay, so that's heavy. Okay, because you gotta understand that they have no hurt on them. This furnace is hot as hell. I mean, think about when you pick up a plate that's too hot. Oh shit, you gotta drop the plate real quick because it's hot. Or when you get tortillas or something, it's hot as hell. You gotta bounce it around your hands. Just how much hotter is? I mean, just imagine taking out something from the oven with your bare hands. Okay, this oven, this furnace that these three men are in is far more hot than that. It's exceedingly more hot than that, and they have no hurt. They can't even feel it. Okay, so these are the type of things. These are the type of miracles that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is getting ready to perform for his men. It says, then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of most high power, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was a hair of their head signed, neither was their coats changed, nor the smell of fire passed on them. Right, that's heavy. Not even their clothes were affected by the fire. Nothing, not a single hair on their head was affected. They didn't even have the smell of fire on them. They didn't even have the smell of it on them. Okay? So you might be thinking, they come out, they might have some, black coal marks or whatever. Nah, they had nothing. Their clothes was clean. They didn't even have the smell of fire. They was good. Okay? This is the power that we serve. Verse 28. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the power of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who had sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's sword, slack at the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any power except their own power. Right? Okay, and this is prevalent, very important that we get this, okay, that we get this account, because this can very well be applied to the same thing that's going to happen in this time. We are going to have to play the part of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in these times. Okay? Like it, bear with me, Baba Kisha. uh, Verse 29, it reads, Therefore I make a decree to every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the power of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other power that can deliver of this sort. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. Right, so not only were these three men delivered, okay, King Nebuchadnezzar was so scared that he was like, look, if anybody even speaks foul of their power, we gonna get their ass. Okay? All right, and that's the beauty of serving Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. But like I was making the point, earlier, okay, and that's it for the story. But as I was making the point earlier, okay, that we are going to be as likened unto Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, okay, because in this time we are not going to take that mark of the beast, okay, which would be that image, so to speak, all right, pursuant to Revelations 13, okay, and beginning of verse 16, all right, which would be that MOTB, which we know what it is, okay, we know what that is already, which I'll grab, okay, but this is the book of First Kings, chapter 19. I'll just get to the point in verse 18. Yet I have left me 7,000 in Israel, which again, the number seven is the number seven is representative of a whole number. Okay, and we know that the Lord saved himself 144,000. Okay, and one third of the Asherah who would repent and not worship this image. Okay, yet I have left me 7,000 in Israel, all the knees which have not bowed unto Baal, and every mouth which hath not kissed them. Right? We are not going to bow the knee to Baal, lo, but it would be of those men, of those elect men. You know, we're not going to worship. And like I said, like I keep mentioning, going back to Revelation chapter 13, all right, and oh man, you can start from the top, but like I said, I don't really want to start from the top. I'll start at verse 13. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. Okay, because this image, or slack, this beast is going to have miracles. It's going to be able to do miracles. Okay, and we already see it. All right, when this MOTB is implanted in you, it's said to cure eyesight. Okay, actually, matter of fact, let me see. Bear with me. All right. Baba Kisha. Bear with me, Baba Kisha. Oh man, I'll just grab these right here. It says, "Man with mind-reading chip in his brain, thanks to Elon Musk." All right. Let me actually search this up. So I searched up what can Neuralink do, and it says Neuralink can perform several functions relating to brain activity, including monitor and stimulate brain activity, assist individuals with paralysis, record and reproduce neural activity, implementation, and functionality. These are miracles, and it also has a sign to, I believe it can cure blindness. Blindness. Yeah, they are focusing on curing blindness. So these are things that are miracles, okay, that are done via the beast, okay? All right. So it says, um, verse 15, and he hath power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Right, that New World Order, that NWO. Okay, that image of the beast, being the NWO. All right. You know these Edomites. Okay, their New World Order, that NWO is that image of the beast, man. Okay, and if you don't worship that New World Order, that's going to happen. Okay, and which is going to be a part of the mark of the beast. Okay, you're going to be killed. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Okay, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Okay, which when you go into that work, I mean, it's like when you go into that word mark, it means charagma, all right, meaning insertion. So they're going to insert something in you. Okay, this mark is not sleeping with white women. All right, this mark isn't whatever other doctrine you are hearing. This mark is a physical insertion. It's not sin. Okay, it's a physical insertion. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600 All right, when you go into any barcode, okay, if you look at any barcode, you're gonna see that there's gonna be a zero, and then there's gonna be like a bunch of little lines with blank, and then it's gonna be a bunch of numbers, and then in the middle there's gonna be another two lines or so, and blank in the middle, and then in the end it's gonna have another line, and it's gonna be blank, and those blank spots are, when you look it up, they are sixes, okay, and you can find that in any barcode, all right, even you know, I'm just looking myself, any barcode I can find, and I've already found one right there, okay, and that is in every one of them. You'll see you'll see the two lines, okay, right there in the front, in the middle, and in the end, pretty much all representatives of sixes. All right, so they're gonna try to turn you into a product of Esau, all right, which means that you will be part of the New World Order, and uh you are now property of Esau. You are no longer property of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and the Lord will have to destroy you, as well as He will destroy America. So, with that, Lord willing was edifying, Lord willing was uplifting. Sincerely hope you brothers got something out of the book of Daniel 3, with the three righteous servants of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai being Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who did not bow the knee down to Nebuchadnezzar and the king of Babylon, which now we know America, aka Babylon, and his reserved men will not bow the knee to Baal yet again. So with that, Lord willing was edifying, Lord willing was uplifting. Call Halal Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai Bahashem Chakrash. The honor to the elders and apostles yet again of the great millstone who will and teach all these blessings, salutations unto the hopeful elect, while to our listening in truth and sincerity.